Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Better Wealth channel. My name is Caleb Guilliams, and we make videos on life insurance, business, money to help you live more intentionally. I'm here with my good friend Chris Kirkpatrick with Life 180, the author of Cash Flow Hacking, and the very passionate life insurance whole life.
Just passionate dude.
You're just a passionate man, and I got him in a very excited mode today. We're going to be reviewing, Chris, a video that our media team sent to me. And it's titled Infinite Banking Don't Do It. It's about 9 minutes, but we're going to start it in a minute in because the intro is about a minute.
Okay.
And I've seen this once, and I wrote notes down, but I don't have my notes in front of me.
I've never seen it.
Chris has never seen it. And my hope is, again, we're going to respond to this video. This person seems like a super nice guy. And the first minute is him talking about kind of like how he is the guy that wants to go to bat for people. I've seen this video once, and it sounds like this guy's super genuine. So this is not attacking Ernest. It's not attacking who he is. I do think some of the points that he makes can be addressed, and I think they deserve to be addressed because this guy's got a lot of views on this one video because a lot of people are looking into this. So without further ado, we're going to play. And how this works, Chris, is if you want me to stop the video, just stop it and we can address something straight up.
Okay.
Or we can watch it all the way through. And so we'll just kind of let this be fluid.
See how it plays.
I'm going to do this, see how technology works. And 3, 2, 1, and let's go.
Today's podcast is titled Infinite Banking. Don't do it. Okay. So I know a lot of you have heard about infinite banking. So many of you have heard someone talking about or someone mentioning infinite banking. Okay. So it's a concept that's being pushed out there by life insurance agents that is encouraging people to dump a whole lot of money into cash value life insurance policy. So the concept is to dump a bunch of money into a life insurance policy, a cash value policy, and accumulate enough to where you can be your own bank and borrow against that cash value to do different things.
I will say he said borrow against.
That's good.
Which is actually really impressive.
Yeah, that's good languaging.
Borrow against.
Yep.
A lot of people say borrow from, and so you're already getting points for this. Anything else you want to address?
No, that's
okay.
Yeah. Let's go.
Instead of using a traditional bank. So buying a vehicle or down payment for a home, sending your children through school, things of that nature. It's saying that you want to be your own bank and not borrow money from a traditional bank. And you do this by adding all this money into a cash value life insurance policy. Sounds interesting, right? Let me let you know about a couple problems I have with that. All right, so here are a couple big problems. Here's one problem. In order for you to accumulate enough cash value in that life insurance policy to borrow against, you're going to have to pay a hefty premium. You're not going to be paying $50 a month or $100 a month or $200 a month. It's going to be a substantial amount of premium that you're paying into that policy.
Which is true.
Yeah.
Like I would not recommend infinite banking if you're putting $50 to $100 a month. So let's just be very clear.
My guess is if you can only afford 50 or 100 a month, you have a lot of other financial issues you need to clear up before you could be doing something like that. You probably have a debt issue. You probably have something else going on, or maybe you're just too earlier in your life and you just don't have enough cash flow in your...
I've made videos where I'll generally say $10,000 is the number. If you don't have at least $10,000 to put in at least the first year, infinite banking might not be a good strategy for you, and that eliminates a lot of people. Do you go lower, or what's your thoughts?
I think like 6,000 is kind of like, but listen, I don't like to put a number on it. I just, what I like to say is you can't draw blood from a rock, right? Like, you always, the question I have is not like, what is the product? It's like, what's the problem you're trying to solve? And is this in alignment with that? Is an infinite banking policy in alignment with that? And if you tell me, Chris, I want this to do cash flow hacking and to buy a real estate property, I'm going to say, well, how much money do you think you need in the next couple of years? And if you tell me, I think I need 40 grand in the next couple of years, and if you can't fund a policy properly to make that happen, well, then so be in alignment with like reality.
Yeah. But just to be clear, I'm in agreement, I think, to what he's saying. And I also think it's just occurring to me that, he's might be making this to the person that really doesn't have a ton of money, getting pitched a strategy, which I am very anti thinking a strategy of anything is going to solve all your problems. So that's just my initial 2 cents.
It's going to knock a whole lot of people out of the bucket right there, right? Because you have to put a substantial amount of premium in that policy in order for it to accumulate the cash value. Problem number 2, you have to do this for an extended period of time. It's not like this bank status is going to happen all of a sudden within the next few months, a few years. It's going to take a long time for you to put away this hefty premium into it, for it to accumulate and grow to a value that you consider yourself your own bank that you can borrow against and do all these different endeavors that I just mentioned, right?
Okay, so that's not true. Like, that's just not true at all. So there are different ways to design a policy. I think what he's saying is if you have a traditional policy and you try to utilize it for infinite banking, everything he just said is absolutely true, right? It's going to take time. You're not going to have liquidity of that money. But if you design a policy properly, once again, it just comes back to what are your objectives and is a policy designed to meet your objectives? Now you're going to be in a position where you can have, in the first 30 days, liquidity of a fairly high percentage of your premium.
Yeah. And here's the other thing. He might be talking about break-evens, which we've seen break-evens at 4 to 5 years, sometimes 6, 7, 8 years. But the whole concept is you have more money than what you've put in. And a lot of people think, oh, and now I can finally borrow. No, you can borrow very early on. You just have to understand that your life insurance policy is giving you the future economic value of all the benefits of life insurance, and you have the ability to utilize that capital without hurting the lifetime, benefit of life insurance. And so I think a lot of times it's like, well, you need to do this for 5, 10, 15 years before you have enough money to be your own banker. Well, yeah, I guess if you're putting $50 to $100 a month in, that actually might be true.
That's not going to accomplish a lot at that point. But what I will say to that is so you can access some of the money short term. Is it going to be break even to year 4 or 5? Maybe not. I mean, I've seen it happen in year 3, 4, 5, but depends on if you're funding it on a flat level premium, it is going to be what it's going to be. It's going to take a little longer. However, we have to think long term. Like, we can access a portion of the money, and a lot of people will be like, and maybe this is where he's coming from, is saying if you only have access to, let's say, 60 or 70% of your money year 1, like, don't do this. Well, the question is, what are your alternatives? Like, that's what I'm always looking at, is like, what are your alternatives? And we have to be thinking long term. And if we're utilizing as a banking alternative for infinite banking, we have to be comparing it to a banking account, and we got to think long term about that.
Right.
So those are 2 key problems. You got to have a significant amount of premium, and you have to do it for an extended period of time to achieve this bank status and borrow against the cash value in that life.
I want to know what he means by bank status.
Where you can borrow against it, and I don't know if he's triggered by like the whole pay yourself interest, because I would be if I were him, because I think that's bad languaging that a lot of infinite banking people use, that you pay yourself interest, because you don't. You borrow against your policy, and when you borrow against your policy, you are going to have an interest expense from that, and you are going to pay that interest to the insurance company, right?
Yep.
So that maybe is something, and by the way, that's not a horrible thing when you understand how the whole system works.
Right.
I think, he probably has just heard people talk about it in the wrong way.
Insurance policy. Here's another issue I have with it. In the meantime, you're reducing the amount of money that you're putting into other areas. So you're not putting as much money into your 401k plan, into your IRA, into your emergency savings, into your 529 plan for your children's education or what have you, because of course you have to find that money somewhere. It's not like this money's going to fall out of the sky for you to put into this cash value life insurance policy. You're going to have to sacrifice somewhere to find that money to put into this cash value life insurance policy, and these other plans are going to suffer as a result.
My observation is he doesn't see life insurance as a foundational and asset. As he's seeing it as a replacement for investments, and so he has this belief that a 529 plan, a 401k, an IRA is like really good for your money, and so he's seeing this life insurance, quote unquote, infinite banking, even though he's saying don't do it, he's seeing it as it competing, whereas we're talking about it as a foundational and that's an observation.
And what I would say is there, and I don't know, we may differ on this a little bit. I'm a big believer the greatest lie told to people is the younger you are, the more risk you can take.
Right. No, I agree.
And so from that perspective, I think what he's saying is by sacrificing and putting your money into this at the beginning, which my belief is we need safe, guaranteed, accessible capital for emergency, for opportunity, before we go and put money into all these accounts where we're taking on unnecessary risk too early, right? So by what he's kind of complaining about, I would say is a reason you need to do this. Like, and not to mention the 529 thing. I've got a whole video on why 529s are actually cost you more for college. And so like I just feel like he just doesn't know what he doesn't know, or a different philosophy.
Your 401k plan is not going to have this much money contributed to it, or your IRA, your children's education. Now, the life insurance agents are like saying, oh, well, you pay for your child's education with the cash value in that policy. Well, like we said before, you got to put a substantial amount in, and it has to accumulate over a long period of time in order for you to be able to do.
I got to say this because I can't help it. So when you put your money in a 529 account, it's important to understand when you are getting ready for college to pay for your kids' college, there's something called the expected family contribution, okay? There's a sticker price for what you pay for college, and then there's what you actually pay for college. The more money you have in a 529 account, the higher sticker price is going to be. 100% of that has to get allocated to the expected family contribution of the family. And so I can show you very easily how if you had less money in your banking policy, it will be more impactful because you don't typically have to show that on the EFC for these schools. So it reduces your expected family contribution, effectively giving you free money and reducing your college expense altogether, right? So
powerful.
That's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
So you just understand that.
Do that. So you're going to sacrifice the other stuff to do that. Sorry, life insurance agents. Sorry, not sorry. Come on, it's just not practical for us.
I love that.
Sorry,
the vast majority of the population can't afford to do this. Now, if you have the money to do that, you're a baller shot caller. Okay, some people are in a position to do that. So, but that's maybe 5 or 10% of the population. Some people, hey, they've maxed their retirement plan at work. They've maxed IRAs. They have substantial emergency savings. Their children's education is fully funded.
I love how he's like, you have a ton of emergency savings, so then you could start a life insurance policy. When we're like, oh no,
the right insurance plans in place to protect themselves and to protect their families. They have everything, and they have a substantial amount of money left over after all of that has been accomplished. If that's you, then by all means, that's something you may want to consider. Okay, that's something you may want to consider because the cash value does grow. It grows tax deferred. You can borrow against it. I get it, but that's not for the vast majority of the population. Do what makes sense for you. It's not practical. It's not advisable. Do not do it.
I just want to talk to this guy.
Okay, and that's it for today's podcast. I just wanted to hit that whole.
Good dude. I mean, listen. My style.
Yeah.
My style.
Yeah.
Ernest, I don't agree 100% with what you're saying. I haven't read the comments, but I think there's quite a few people that have probably thanking you and disagreeing with you. All I'll say is I'm thinking you're seeing infinite banking as a replacement to investments. You're seeing people over pitch it, overhype it. I see the same thing, and so I can understand that. What I would say is if you ever want to come to the table and say, okay, when we talk about the and asset or infinite banking or whatnot, how are we structuring it? It's not a replacing investments. It's for emergencies and opportunities and control. And that's I think just the big disconnect. But to be fair, if you don't have proper education or you're not, he might be seeing other people pitching it. And I've seen a lot of aggressive people on the whole life and IUL side pitching life insurance in a way that doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah, I mean 100%. It's like that's what it comes down to. And like the biggest part out of that I took was when he kind of went on if you haven't funded your IRAs and 401ks and emergency fund, like your whole life, if you think long term, your whole life, in my opinion, it's the way to get your dollars to perform more than one function in your life, and it is going to be your emergency fund. Right.
I'm going to open up a can of worms. I think there's totally. I believe that the market, from a rate of return standpoint, could outperform whole life.
The stock market?
Yeah.
Of course it will.
Okay. So I want you to know that, because a lot of life insurance people will say no, like they badmouth the performance of the market and say, whole life, because it's tax free and all those things, will do better. And I think there potentially is a point to that. Like, if you look at the tax and all those other things, I think there's a potential point to that. But the reality is, we're not talking about it as an investment. If person has to badmouth real estate or other assets like the market or whatnot, or badmouth Roth IRAs, just be careful. But if they're showing you a better, more efficient way to accomplish what you want to accomplish using certain things, that's kind of where I see life insurance, and that's where I see infinite banking. And it's clear that this person that did this video they don't have the same paradigm. For better or worse, they don't have the same paradigm at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, and I think, if we were to talk to him, and listen, if he wants to reach out, give us a call, right? But if we were to talk to him, I bet you we would agree on more things than we disagree
100%.
with, right? Like, I mean, at the end of the day, he seems like a really good guy. It's obvious he leads with his heart. He wants to help people. He's doing what he thinks to be true, right? And he's probably talked to, like Caleb said, there's some infinite banking people out there that just the languaging, the use of it, the idea. I think the thing, and I'm going to go here, maybe open a can of worms. The thing with infinite banking that you and I both, I think, agree on extremely, that is against infinite banking, is that you're never going to be able to use a depreciating asset to make money and increase your wealth. Whereas a lot of people are like, I use my infinite banking policy to buy my car and increase my wealth. It doesn't. It's right.
Let's do another video on this. Because I'm sincere. Like, yes. Let's finish your initial thought. But there are a couple things that trigger me when people say that are just not true, and I think we need to talk about it.
Yeah, and so from that perspective, if that's how you're being pitched infinite banking, I agree. And if that's what his context of it is, then I agree with
yeah.
So, right.
We're going to do a video that says why we hate infinite banking.
So make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, that way you get notified every time he launches a video.
Thank you. And also we have what's called the And Asset Vault. And if you want to learn more about life insurance and all that stuff, you can go, the vault's free, and we're putting our best information out there. Chris, thank you.
Yeah, man.
Go subscribe to Chris's channel as well. Ernest, reach out to us.
Link below.
We appreciate the work that you're doing. And we're going to do another video on, I can come up with 4 right now, but we're gonna go to the list and the 4 triggers that get me going as it relates to infinite banking. So make sure to subscribe. Hey, I want to thank you so much for watching this video to the end. This video is on life insurance, and if you have more questions about life insurance, infinite banking, why you should overfund it, we have a link below that goes to our And Asset Vault. This is a free vault that gives you everything you need to know about life insurance. We have case studies, we have a calculator on there, we have a handbook, we have frequently asked questions, we go through a process, I have my masterclass on there. We literally want to be the one-stop shop for every life insurance decision. And so if you want to learn more, click the link below, and we look forward to educating and maybe opening your mind and eyes to the power of life insurance.